Professor Theoceratops, and may I introduce you to Digging Deeper Bite Size. Oh, hello, and welcome to episode number 17. Now, I'm currently filming this episode, and it is rainy. It's a cold winter's day. I could do with some soup. That would warm me. Marge! Marge, could you please put some soup on the stove? Thank you, Marge. Oh, yes. But even more than soup, it warms my heart to know that you are joining me to watch this episode. Now, to know God is a great thing, and it gladdens me to know that you are getting to know Him better. That makes me very happy. It's the knowledge of Him that you seek. That is a good thing. Now, today, I'm going to be talking about people and what we are like. Now, this will help us to get to know God better as well. So get ready for this. Now, people, what are we like? Well, do you know what? The Bible tells us very clearly. The Bible, where is it? Well, I've got my Bible here. The Bible tells us very clearly what we're like. It tells us that we are horrible, rotten, evil creatures. Because of sin, we are ruined. It is terrible. It wasn't always this way. When God made Adam and Eve and put them in the garden, He'd made them in His image. They were amazing. They were superb. They were fantastic. They were glorious creatures. Not as good as God, but they were His greatest creation. They were alive to God, and everything was great. But when they sinned, when they brought sin into the world by rejecting God, things went horribly wrong. See, what happened is they died spiritually. What that means is before they died at the end of their lives, they actually became dead to God. They couldn't be His friends, His family, or anything to Him anymore because they were dead to Him. And so even when they had kids, and their kids had kids, and their kids, they were all dead to Him as well. And this goes on for everyone in the world. Because of sin, we are all dead to God. Now, have a look in your Bibles at Ephesians chapter 2, verse 4 and 5. Don't forget to pause the video. Did you have a look at those verses? Now, unfortunately, dead people, they can't do too much. They can't get up and run away from things or go and do different things. It's the same with people who are dead to God. We can't do anything to fix our problem with Him. We can't just run back to God. We can't do that because we're dead to Him. There is nothing that we can do. It's a horrible situation. We are dead. And that means that someone who is spiritually dead has no hope of ever being right with God again, right? Wrong. What? Wrong. What? Wrong. Oh, what? Okay, well, let's have a look at this. See, while those people who are dead cannot do anything themselves, God can still do something. Hope is not lost. Did you notice that at the end of that verse in Ephesians, or not at the end of the verse, towards the start of the verse, how it says that God made us alive? He made us alive. God can bring us back to life if He so desires, because He is that powerful. He can do that. And someone who is alive again can be friends with God. And that is the case for all of us who trust in Jesus. Now, here's the thing though. There are so many people in our world, lots of your young friends, I imagine, that they think that they can do things to fix their problem. They think there's things that they can do. But can they? Good gracious, no. They are dead in their sins, dead to God, and they need to be brought back to life. So that means that we must pray that God would bring them back to life. And we need to tell them to ask Him to bring them back to life as well. We need them to know that they are dead in their sins, because trying to be good enough just is not good enough. It won't bring someone back to life. If they are dead to God, they need God, and it is totally up to Him. Now, before I finish talking about this and answer this week's question, I want to leave you, that's you, with a challenge. I want you to try to work out how God can bring someone back to life. How does He do it? How does it work? Where can you find it in the Bible? If you can work that out, then with the permission of your mother and father, make sure you check with them. Email me at theoceratops@evchurch.info. And I'll use some of those answers in next week's episode. But for now, stay tuned for the question and the rest of the episode. Welcome back to the rest of the episode and the question for this week. Now, today's question comes from a young boy at Saturday AV known as Jack. Now, Jack asks, how could Jesus live a life without any sin? Hello, Jack. What a good question to ask. Because, as we just heard, everyone is sinful and dead to God and born that way. But the Bible is very clear that Jesus, He never sinned. So, if you have a look at Hebrews chapter 4, verse 15, you will see that very clearly. It says that Jesus never sinned, straight up. But He was human. So how does that work? Well, it's important to understand, because it's important to know that Jesus was perfect and is perfect. Here's how it works. Do you remember how Mary is Jesus' mother? Well, Joseph, he isn't quite Jesus' father. He is kind of like his stepfather, because God is the one who placed Jesus inside of Mary when he started growing inside of her belly. God is Jesus' father, because Jesus is God. And so when Jesus was born, He wasn't born dead to God. He was born alive to God. But you see, Jack and everyone else, He still had choices to make. Would He reject God? Or would He follow Him? Would He trust Him? Would He obey Him? Would He love Him? Always! Well, every decision that Jesus ever made was the right one, and He never sinned. He always followed, always trusted, always obeyed, and always loved God. He could do that because He is God. He was tempted because He is a human, and it was very hard for Him, but He never failed. How good is that? Well, Jack, I hope that's helpful, and I hope that answers your question. But you and everyone else, please don't forget to keep digging deeper into the Bible, even if it is just in bite-sized pieces. I am Professor Theoceratops, and Jesus, He is perfect. Goodbye.